Today, we'll be discussing a very intriguing and controversial topic, Nigeria's Correctional Service and the Bobrisky Saga. Something that is very well known to most of you out there, and a discussion that has brought up the issue of corruption, the issue of VIP treatment in Nigerian prisons to the spotlight. And it is my pleasure to introduce our guest for today's discussion. His name is Inibe Effiong. Inibe Effiong is a public interest and human rights lawyer at Inibe Effiong Chambers. He is also an activist and a prominent social commentator. Recently, he was appointed as the secretary of the Citizens Liberties Committee, CLC, of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, under the leadership of the newly elected NBA president, Afam Osigwe, SAN. A few days ago, now let's talk about the topic itself. The news cycle was buzzing with stories about the alleged treatment of Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky. During his time in Correctional Services custody, Bobrisky, a Nigerian social media influencer, was reportedly given special treatment, fueling allegations of bribery and corruption and preferential treatment for worthy or famous inmates in Nigeria's correctional facilities. But beyond the celebrity spotlight, there's a much larger issue at play. Corruption in Nigeria's correctional service, how deep does it run? And what does the law say about VIP apartments or special treatment for inmates? And what is the role, or has been the role, of the gentleman known as Very Dark Man, Martins Ose? In all of this, the man blowing the whistle and saying that his interest is access to justice for the poor and ensuring that corruption within the system, be it the EFCC, the Correctional Service, or any other agency of government, is exposed. So let's get our guest, Inibe Effiong, to give us some context and dissect this matter. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us at 0700 1051 1051. You can send us WhatsApp at 0909 916 4403 or reach out to us on our social media accounts at City 1051 on Zoom, Instagram, and Facebook. Now, thank you very much for joining us, Inibe Effiong. Thank you very much indeed. Now, let's start with this issue. Yes, let's start with the general take on this issue that has been out there in the public domain. What's your take? I'm sure you must have seen the videos posted by Very Dark Man, the various allegations and accusations that he has made, the audio conversations with Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky, and he's saying that his haters are the ones that are after him and that he's innocent. Just your take.
So, Dr. Bati, thank you for having me. The truth of the matter is that it is still a bit early in the day to make conclusions or draw conclusions regarding the Bobrisky case. I do know that he was arrested by the EFCC for spraying the naira and arraigned for violating the CBN Act at the Federal High Court in Lagos. When Bobrisky, Mr. Idris Okuneye, was arraigned in court, some of us even asked a pertinent question: does the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have jurisdiction, ab initio, to even try him for this offense? Is spraying of the naira an economic or a financial crime that is within to have been within the jurisdiction or purview of the EFCC? But he chose possibly on the advice of his counsel, to plead guilty to the charge, and then he was sentenced to a term of 6 months. Now, as you are aware, the way the system works is that when a court has passed a verdict and you are remanded, you are expected to serve that sentence in line with the judgment of the court. Now, having been remanded in the custodial center, formerly called prisons, even though we still use prison loosely, under the new act, the Nigerian Correctional Service Act, he is required, or was required under the, to serve his prison time, his jail time, in custody. Now, there is also the second dimension of the matter, where it is alleged that he was also investigated for money laundering, and that the charges or the case of money laundering that may have been made against him, or that could have been made against him upon an investigation, was abandoned on the basis of corruption, official corruption. It is also insinuated that he may have paid 15 million to operative of the EFCC for that aspect of the investigation to be abandoned. Now, two things I can confirm to you. One, EFCC, even though it is established by law to fight corruption, is not itself free of corruption. Two, the correctional service that is supposed to instill discipline and correction in inmates and persons that go through the criminal justice system is itself a system that needs correction. And I have had cause to say that there's nothing correctional about the correctional service. And that is based on my personal experience with the correctional service. Maybe as an addendum, I can also tell you for a fact that I do know that in the various custodial centers, they have what they call a VIP or special cell. It actually exists. That is the truth of the matter. Any claim to the contrary is simply false. And Dr. ABATI, you are in a better position to know why I would say this very authoritatively. Now, what really transpired in Bobrisky's case, and all these comments I have made, the preface is basically generic statements, not tied to the specific claims by this internet sensation called Very Dark Man, who in some sense has now made some very grievous allegations. If we are to stick to facts, some points must be admitted. Number one, the voice record that this gentleman posted, is not a voice record of a conversation between Idris Okunoye and Folarin Falana, that is Mr. Fowles. I think that point has been lost in the course of the emotion that has been poured into this matter. And the identity or the identities of the persons on that call has not been authenticated. While it may be said that the voice, or one of the the prominent voice in the audio is that of Bobrisky on account of similarity, I am not a voice expert. But while it can be said that it was Bobrisky, one thing is clear: the voice of Mr. Fowles is not on that call. So, if you are coming to make claims, to make it look as if you have evidence of what Fowles and Bobrisky discussed, Nigerians should be reminded that the voice conversation is that of a yet to be identified person. As I'm talking to you this moment, I do not know, and I believe it is the same for you. You do not know who the person that Bobrisky allegedly had this conversation with. So, if Bobrisky, assuming truly is the one in that record, said the things he said on that record, the question is that evidence of anything? What does that establish?
Okay, I get your point. But here is the point being made.
My reservation matter is that, yes, my reservation about this matter is that this gentleman, if he was acting in public good, in good faith, would have handled this objectively. But when you now go to the point of not only publishing the voice record that you have in your possession, but you now go further, not only to misrepresent the content of the record that you have published. It is possible he has more. But I cannot speak about based on conjecture. I'm speaking based on what he has put out. And I'm submitting to you that his interpretation of what is in that record is questionable. Secondly, when you go even beyond that, to now basically drop names, mention Femi Falana, mention the son Faust, and connect it to the what is in the record of what Bobrisky allegedly said. And you don't stop at that. You proceed to draw conclusions or make conclusive comments. What that presupposes is that you have solid evidence beyond what is in that voice to substantiate your claim. Two things. He insinuated that Mr. Femi Falana may have been involved or may have sought or collected. In fact, he said he collected 10 million from Bobrisky to bribe or pay possibly someone in the Federal Ministry of Justice or Presidency or wherever to enable the application for pardon for Bobrisky to be taken to the President. It is also insinuated that FAS may have paid money to correctional officers, senior correctional officers, for the purpose of taking him out of the prison or the custodial center in order for him to be given, and that indeed he was given a private residence to reside. These are grave allegations. And I'm saying you cannot make those allegations based on simply what is in the voice notes.
Okay.
The voice you have released.
But is it plausible that we have the kind of system described by Martin Sose, popularly known as Very Dark Man, in our justice administration process, whereby a man is sentenced to prison, and then he gets VIP treatment, not inside the prison, but in a place out of custodial, center. You recall that the Ministry of Interior, the Civil Defense Immigration Services Board moved swiftly and identified certain, controllers, deputy controllers, other officers within the correctional service, and sent them on suspension to allow for investigation. Could that have been because there were some preliminary things? Are you telling us categorically that it may not be true that Nigerian Prison Service runs VIP treatment outside centers, custodial centers, designated, properly identified by the court of law?
Dr. Bati, when I started, I said clearly to you that there is corruption in the correctional service, and that indeed the correctional service is an institution that needs correction. I said that clearly. So I'm not going to sit here, I'm not going to tell you on this interview that, this program, that possibility is ruled out. No! Because I know how endemic the rot is. This thing is possible. But did it actually happen? And if the record he has played is true, knowing that the incident of even this man called Bobrisky is someone that likes to show off, someone likes to brag a lot, is it also plausible that he may have sat down on his own and make these claims just to appear invaluable or to appear indestructible or to give a sense of importance? Because that is, if you look at his antecedents, he's somebody that is capable of that. But the facts have to come out. I want an inquiry, I want an investigation to be carried out to unravel the truth of this matter. If indeed it is found that he was accorded facility outside the four walls of the correctional service, then hate must roll. People must be held accountable, and he too must be held accountable. So I'm entirely in favor of an independent and objective investigation. But you see, two facts can be accurate. I'm saying that the public good, assuming this is correct and shown to be correct, the public good that may have been achieved is now, in some sense, watered down because of the lack of objectivity and the personalization of the matter by the person who put this thing out. Now, let me tell you one thing about the correctional service, based on my personal experience. If there is an institution in Nigeria that has a consistent record keeping, it is actually the correctional service. The records may be manipulated, but I know as a fact that every single day, the number of inmates in the custodial centers are accounted for. It is a daily thing. They call it roll count or hit count or whatever. Every single day, they go from cell to cell and count and identify the number of inmates. And they even have a board where the number is stated on a daily basis. So if on a Monday there are 11 inmates, or say there are 1,000 inmates in a particular prison facility, and the next day it is 950, they adjust it daily. And they send the report to their headquarters on a daily basis. I know this as a fact. And I also know that there is a process of, and for a high-profile inmate like Bobrisky, there's no way this will happen and people are not aware. So if this actually happened, I can assure you it will come to light. It is very easy to investigate. There is no way you would have a high-profile inmate of that status in a Nigerian correctional service and the entire prison facility would not be aware. Both the correctional officers and other inmates will be aware. In fact, even visitors will be aware. So we need to look at the record. In fact, let me give you clues on how this investigation will be done. They will have to look at the visitors' notes, records. Between the period that he was there, who were the visitors? How many visitors did he receive? Who signed them in? So these things are easy to verify. If they took him outside, which I say is possible, then it could have been a decision taken at the highest level. There is no way. It is impossible for someone of that status to be taken outside a prison facility without the knowledge and the premature, the consent of the controller of corrections in charge of that facility, or even someone higher. Dr. Bati, it is impossible. So that is why I support the suspension of the controller of those facilities. It could have happened. If this actually happened, it could not have happened without their knowledge, because I have a personal experience of how the correctional service works. It is impossible. When I had issue in Akwa Ibom with the government and I was in prison for a month, I know that it is not possible for a high-profile inmate to be in custody and people are not aware. In fact, Dr. Bati, they don't even need to talk to the officials. All that they need to do is to send investigators to talk to the inmates. Look at the record of the inmates, go from cell to cell, and ask them quietly. They will tell you whether Bobrisky was in detention or not, whether he was taken out or not. The inmates are aware. There is no way that kind of information can be concealed in the prison. So this is not something that is difficult to unravel. It is not difficult.
Okay. Well, what would you say should be the way forward? There have been all kinds of stories where the Ministry of Interior has acted, suspending some key officials. Some people are calling on the EFCC to move beyond investigation and properly establish what may have happened. And then some Nigerians are saying, well, there will be a cover-up because this is something that has been going on for decades within the Nigerian system, and that it's only the poor who get punished. If you can buy justice anywhere, anytime down the line along the justice system chain, you will get preferential treatment. So people are alarmed, people are shocked, people are outraged. But what do you think will be the next steps? Should Bobrisky be rearrested? Should Very Dark Man be arrested? Should, all the people involved who have been named, should they remain not just under suspension, but be in detention until we get to the root of this, because this can affect the people's confidence, trust in the justice administration system.
I think it is important to have an independent inquiry into this matter. I am not sure whether internal investigations will be sufficient, including that of the EFCC. I mean, Dr. Bati, these things are not. It's not aeronautical science. It's not space science. It's simple. If you want to know what happened to the investigation at the EFCC, the money laundering investigation that is said to have been initiated against him, all you simply need to do is to review his file. Call for his file. Look at his file. That will clearly tell you whether the investigator deviated or not. I have my own personal reservations with the EFCC, the way they handle investigation. Well, I'm talking to you, I have series of petitions pending at the same EFCC in Lagos that I have written on behalf of clients who have been defrauded. And they are sitting on some of those petitions. Some of them I believe that they have compromised, and very soon I'm going to come out very hard on them. Because some of us have been a bit sympathetic to the so-called the pretentious war against corruption. But I know from personal experience that EFCC itself requires reform. So I'm not speaking from a position of bias. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. If we are going to determine whether the investigation against him, there was the money laundering, number one, was there a money laundering investigation against Bobrisky? That is the first question. Number two, if it is answered in the affirmative, why did the charges filed against him not include money laundering? Was it because of on the basis of want of evidence, lack of evidence, or was it just a question of prosecutorial discretion that they just decided, looking at the entire picture, they were not going to charge him? Because don't forget, he pleaded guilty. Dr. Bati, I hope we've not forgotten. He pleaded guilty. And usually the way the system works, but for example in the US, when the FBI, the Justice Department, comes after you, that is why most cases in the United States doesn't even go to trial. Once you are indicted by a grand jury, the next thing you will see is that they will cut a deal. So, and then that will now affect maybe the charges brought against you or the punishment that is meted on you. He pleaded guilty. Did that have bearing on abandoning the money laundering allegation? Or was it really corruption again that reared its ugly neck? If it was corruption, I am submitting to you, it is very easy to determine that. Just call for the file, review the statement of Bobrisky, review the documents in the file, look at the investigation report. Any objective person will be able to tell whether something went wrong or not. And if something went wrong, and it was the product of corruption, then people should be held accountable. Should Bobrisky be arrested? Well, at this moment, he was sentenced, and we saw him come out at the end of his jail time in a celebratory mode, in grand style. So that gives the impression that he served his term. But did he serve it at where the law mandates him to serve it? That question has to be determined. But you cannot say you want to take him to go back and start serving the term fresh. That will violate the principle of double jeopardy. Except it is shown that truly he did not serve his term, then the courts will have to look at a way of addressing that. But we have this principle against double jeopardy. It cannot be retried for the same offense. That will violate Section 36 of the Constitution. That point should be made clearly. Now, the Femi Falana angle was unnecessary at this time. The amplification of the Falana name in the matter was completely sensational. Because why are you mentioning Femi Falana? If you listen to the record, I don't know why, like I said, emotion is so easy to play out. But if you listen to the matter, follow the matter objectively. Start by listening to the audio, the voice record. What did the man say to be Idris in that record say? Number one, did he mention Femi Falana by name, or was it his son? If he said that it was the father of Falz, who happened to be Femi Falana, what did he say in connection with him? Is there any way in that record where he said that Femi Falana demanded 10 million to bribe anybody, or to pay anybody, or to facilitate corruptly a pardon for Bobrisky? I did not find that. All this came from the man called Very Dark Man. He is the one who gave expression to these allegations, and he has to defend it. Let us be objective about the matter. He has to defend it. And the gentleman called Fowles, I am not going to be one of those Nigerians that will jump on the gun through allegation that this is someone who has, over time, devoted his life at the risk of his own comfort to fight on the side of the people, from NSAS to several agitations. So for somebody to just come out on the internet and try to disparage him, and suddenly the whole country, some people want to forget about all the what he has stood for over the years. I think it is very unfair. He has said clearly that yes, Bobrisky called him, requested for 3 million to pay for space in the special cell, and I have confirmed to you that there is this corrupt practice of collecting money from inmates to give them special treatment in a special cell, which they keep denying. But I know that it is true, it exists. So if an inmate calls me this morning and say, Inibere, I have been taken to Kirikiri. Please, can you help me with 5 million? Can you help me with 50,000? I want to pay for a cell. Have I committed an offense? Have I done anything wrong?
Well, Inibere,
especially if I have declined it. He said he declined it.
Inibere,
so why are you now going ahead
Inibere,
to accuse him that he took Bobrisky outside the prison?
Inibere, let me go back to the point about Bobrisky, Idris Okuneye, not being caught out in the custodial center, Kirikiri. That, okay, perhaps the prison officials looked at the situation and said, well, this is a man who is neither a man nor a woman. You know, some people say he's a woman, some people say he's a man, and that maybe for his own protection, he had to be moved to, you know, a space outside the prison just to secure him, because the correctional service people, they also have a responsibility to protect, you know, persons that may be exposed to danger. After all, they have it also in the United States. In New York, Didi is at, you know, a special correctional center in Manhattan, which is like a holding place for persons who may be exposed to, you know, special danger because of their status in community. Do we have it in our laws that there is that same kind of, you know, treatment whereby the correctional service will say, to protect this man, you know, let's put him in a special facility, maybe a safe house, you know, outside the custodial center. And then if he spends the time, he will be deemed to have, you know, served his time.
You know, the truth is that because this matter has become sensational, quite unfortunately, the conversation on social media has drifted. But let the facts of the matter, let the truth be told. Truth be told, it will be difficult not to accord Bobrisky some, I don't want to call it special treatment, but not to recognize the fact that it is Bobrisky that you are dealing with. I mean, you can't close your eye to what is before you. Except you are blind, or you just choose to be intentionally blind. But if a person is standing before you and has certain features, certain antecedents, you cannot close your eye to it. Now, they would have necessarily accorded him some form of protection, but it should not be outside the four walls of the correctional of the prison. That is my reservation. I don't think there will be a case, a justifiable case, for him to be given accommodation or facility outside the prison wall. I don't support that. But within the prison facility, that should be possible. Because homosexuality is actually a thing. For the 1 month I was detained, I witnessed at least 2 to 3 cases of homosexuality in the course. It is very rampant, Dr. ABATI. People should be objective about it. There is homosexuality in Nigerian custodial centers. That is why I said a lot of people are just speaking emotionally. So for someone that has his own kind of body features, his own kind of attributes, even if they don't give him, you know, a special cell or so-called special cell in the custodial center, he would have necessarily been placed under constant and rigorous monitoring for his own protection, because the primary responsibility of the correctional officers is the safety of inmates. And I can tell you, the correctional safety is even more safer than police cell. They take safety of inmates most seriously. The death, of course, inmates die dead because of lack of medical care, but in terms of physical safety, they know that they have a responsibility to, especially an inmate of that status. So I would not be surprised if, looking at the way Bobrisky, because it is Bobrisky that we are talking about, it's not in Ibefio. It's not Dr. Abati, it's not somebody that is a man and everybody knows that he's a man. It's somebody that says he's a man, identified himself in court as a man, but he wears women clothes, he does makeup, he does all these funny things. Today he's a cross dresser, tomorrow some people say he's transgender. Yesterday he said he went for BBL. I don't even know what all this, but this is who he is. That is like, Dr. Abati, it is Bobrisky that we are talking about. Yes, so for you to now say the prison should pretend that the inmate that has been brought is no longer Bobrisky, I think it's just being unserious. So, truth be told, they had a responsibility to recognize his social standing, his gender as a man notwithstanding, but his features as a woman, his characteristics as a woman, his claim of being a woman, his mannerism, those are things that you must be mindful of. Because I'm confirming to you that this thing, this practice, sodomy, is a thing. I witnessed at least 2 to 3 for the 1 month that I was there. So I know that it is something that happens.
Okay.
They needed to protect him, but not to take him outside the prison.
I get your point, but just to throw in the fact that one of the 5 persons, I think, about 5, who were suspended by the Correctional Services, Immigration Services, and Civil Defense Board, was said to have led Bobrisky out of the custodial center to an apartment out of, the designated place of incarceration. So, which means that initial investigation by that board and the Ministry of Interior would seem to confirm, preliminarily, as it were, that in fact Bobrisky was taken out of custody and that he was receiving visitors. There's one gentleman who was also a cross-dresser who was said to have visited him, and all of that is part of the story. And so that's why Nigerians are saying, oh, it's only poor people that go to prison. Those who have godfathers, like Bobrisky's godfather, can just make arrangements and put them in comfort.
No, I think that one relates. I'm not sure if that is it, but I think I heard Enugu, somewhere in Enugu. I'm not sure if it was Bobrisky. But look, the truth of the matter is that if it is found, I'm confirming to you that if it is found that Bobrisky did not serve his term within the 4 walls of the prison, hate must roll. People must be accountable. People must be fired. People must be prosecuted. There has to be an investigation. But what I don't want us to do on this case is to draw conclusions like the person who put out this video did when the facts have not been ascertained. Because as I said, even the voice record that he put out, the audio, that is aside his own personal statements and commentaries, the audio that he put out on his own was between Bobrisky and an unknown person. Whether he was just bragging to this person, whether he was trying to justify whatever he needed from this person, we do not know the circumstance of that conversation. All this has to come out plain.
Okay.
But let the facts come out.
Yeah, and let the facts speak accordingly. But I guess investigations would bring all of this to the fore. But let's take a quick commercial break. And for those of you who are just tuning in, we've been discussing Nigeria's Correctional Service and the Bobrisky saga.
Very delusional to the people. City Talks.
Nigeria's Correctional Service and the Bobrisky saga. The VIP treatment of some inmates at our correctional centers and the implications for transparency in prison management, the legal implications. And our guest has been Inibe Effiong, a lawyer and a very well-known, activist and advocate for justice and fairness in our justice administration system. Now we'll throw the lines open and we'll try to take interactions and also allow people to make their own interventions. Now, I see a hand up here on Zoom. It's HP. Who is that? HP. If you could be admitted, and then your name, your contribution, we can have that and we can discuss your input. HP has his hand up. I don't know the name that is indicated, HP. But while we're waiting for him, here is a message from Comrade Engineer Igbini Odafe Emmanuel. He says Nigerians are going through hell daily to survive and buy fuel at a crazy price of over 1,100 naira per liter. This is what I have come to Abuja to help find solution to. My brother, Comrade Effiong, should please come join me in Abuja for us to resolve this fuel pricing palaver. Comrade Engineer Igbini Odafe Emmanuel from Warri, where he probably doesn't think that this is an important subject. Well, Chief Marcelo Keke says the story about Bobrisky clearly depicts the level of corruption everywhere in Nigeria. Let the appropriate authorities use this case to deal with the massive corruption in the Nigerian custodial service sector. In the end, let us see heads roll. Okay, those are two interventions right there. Do we have someone on the line?
Yes, REUBEN.
Okay. Oh, that's Dr. Chizia.
Yes, I don't know what happened to my. I'll have to sort it out.
Okay.
I just have some comments to make about this situation. I think that this saga is very interesting because I think that somebody just wants to target Bobrisky for reasons that are not known to all of us. I think that she just be, or he is being targeted. I don't know what he has done. So spraying money laundering, and so on and so forth. It's pervasive. It's all over the place. And so why are we going after? So maybe her style of life, or, what she does. Some people have found it offensive, and that's why maybe this is happening. So I look at it and I'm at a loss. And we seem to be spending so much energy on this issue. You look at the agencies of government, EFCC, ICPC, they are all corrupt. Don't worry about it. This is common knowledge. And so let's not lie to ourselves. So what we are saying, the prison system in the country is overcrowded. There's corruption everywhere, pervasive. Waiting trial, people are being kept in prison. The prisons are overly, people are loaded with people. There's no space. And so, and that you have a special treatment for some people, for elites and so on, it's common knowledge. So, I find the whole thing comical. I think that for us, it's some form of entertainment. Maybe it's what Bobrisky, what Bobrisky is and what she stands for, and her lifestyle that's earning her this vendetta.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Boniface Chizia there. Well, looks like we have another caller. Before I come straight to you, Inebe Effiong, to respond to some of the interventions. Yes, good afternoon.
I think you are being biased with this you're picking, of course. Is it time to call? Must I be on Zoom? I've been calling since. I'll please prioritize those that call as well, please. Thank you. I'm not new on your show. Anyway, as they will say, even a broken clock is correct twice a day. And from the word nonsense, if you remove the first three letters, you can still make sense. Ordinarily, a young man or woman, or him now, whatever you choose to call him, we don't know where it belongs, may be making sense. I remember there were speculations during this guy in capitulation then, Fred Ajudua. I'm sure you know Fred Ajudua. How that he lived like a king in prison. In fact, he was special among the inmates. There were speculations, no concrete facts. But with this revelation, it's obvious that something is not right in our justice system. As I said, as much as the entertainer should not be taken very seriously, but from what seems nonsensical, we can make sense of it. Let there be enough enough inquisition, if I use that strong word, into what just happened. Otherwise, it will just ensure that Nigeria goes down already we're in the pit. 64 years or almost 64 years of nationhood that you cannot be proud of in any aspect, educationally, judicially, anyhow, Nigeria is just down there. So let them take time to really go through what he has said, not discarding entirely what he might have said. For Fowles and even the dad, the fact that their names are mentioned, you know, it's like in coup plot. If you plan a coup and you even heard about it, God help you if you still remain in your life. So the fact that some names have been thrown around, let them also be called in. If they are clean, of course they will be let off. I think it was on a mission of vendetta. I'm talking of the entertainer involved now, Idris. Because ordinarily, what happened to him is not entirely new. You use the example of PDD, and I know many examples from some very interesting people in society that normally they won't want to endanger their lives. If they have to incarcerate them, they put them in special places. But one thing they do is that they don't say it even after they be released. Maybe they swear an oath or whatever, I don't know. But in this case, it is possible Bobrisky was actually secluded for something special, maybe taken to a special place. But it was not in his power to now steal this. But I think it's just a case of vendetta. But that, now that it's been reviewed, as they say, whether not Jonah swallow fish or fish swallow Jonah, now that all these things have been reviewed, let them take proper time to investigate. Set up investigative or independent investigative panel that will not be biased. From whatever Bobrisky has said, people that he has called their names, they should take this. Otherwise, we just remain a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations. I said it earlier, when it was said that children are in prison then, there were speculations, but there was nothing concrete. You could not hold it said as in, it's like it was even like a king in prison. But with this now, it only shows that it's like there are some people that have preferential treatment. It is true that they said, even among thieves, there is honor. Let me still listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moses. Well, in the BF Young, I'm sure you had some of the interventions that perhaps, Bobrisky is a victim of vendetta, and that maybe there are more important issues like fuel scarcity that you should come to Abuja and assist with instead of discussing Bobrisky, preferential treatment, and the fact that, well, corruption is given in the Nigerian system, and it's not new, it's an old thing, and that nobody should be surprised. And then Dr. Moses is saying anybody whose name has been mentioned should be properly investigated, and they should be made to give proper account.
Well, let me start with the points about anybody whose name has been mentioned. I don't know who these persons that their names have been mentioned are. But if it is Falano and the son, I don't think their name have been mentioned in connection with any credible allegation. This is just something that somebody sat behind his keypad and threw out their name in the public space without any basis, without any facts, without any rationale, simply because he came across a voice note or a voice call record between Bobrisky, said to be Bobrisky, and an unknown third party. That is not how to pursue justice. I think that is just an attempt at disparaging people who have built their reputation. If you are going to accuse them of anything, any wrong, there should be basis for it. For now, I haven't seen any basis, whether based on the voice call or any other fact. Now, the truth of the matter is that this whole Bobrisky money spraying thing, to a large extent, was a big distraction from the real corruption that is going on in our country. We are busy having this conversation now, but the same EFCC that the Ayabelo went to their office to do praise and worship, to have breakfast, they greeted him and even gave him salute, and he walked out. They now came out again and said they are still looking for him. They have made a joke of the war, the so-called war against corruption. How many of the former governors that have stolen billions and trillions from their states have this EFCC put on trial? All that they do now is to go after Yahoo boys, which is not a bad thing to fight cybercrime. But I'm just telling you that it seems they are not getting their priority right. Because while we are busy discussing Bobrisky and spraying of money and his lifestyle, those that are stealing Nigerian money that should be used to build health centers, that should be used to construct roads, those that are diverting billions daily, they are smiling daily. EFCC is looking at them and is praying for them to succeed. But we are being distracted by someone that spread money. When do you know that if you want to talk about spraying money, I can mention prominent people in current government that have been caught on video spraying money. even people very close to the president, people in the president's family that have been caught spraying money. EFCC has not arrested any of them. That doctor is right. This had more to do with the lifestyle of Bobrisky. Some people don't like him. They don't like his mannerism. They don't like the way he dresses. They don't like the things he says. And they just needed to go after him. That is what it has always been about. If it is about spraying money, there is no facility in Nigeria to accommodate people that have sprayed money in public. But if they just wanted to use him as a scapegoat, have they achieved that purpose, and to what extent? This was the big distraction from the beginning. EFCC is not even within their mandate. It should have been a police case. It should have been a police case. It was not a matter for the EFCC in the first place. I don't know why they got involved. But speaking more seriously about the allegation, if indeed he did not say the same within the 4 walls of the prison, I support an inquiry and I call for people to be investigated. But what Nigerians must be wary of, what Nigerians must be mindful of, is to get carried away by the emotion of the moment. Right? Femi Falana, I haven't seen anything objectively, rationally, and reasonably to infer that he did anything wrong. If, as I am talking to you now, after this program, somebody calls me from the prison and makes a request, I have the right to decline that request. Right? But to now say that on the basis of a phone call that was initiated to me, you now want to bastardize my name and make it look like I have gone ahead to corrupt the system. I think that is very unfair, especially for a family that has done their bit. Can you imagine, Dr. Bati? I watched a video this morning. The same very dark man. Do you know what he said? He was saying what Femi Falana has done for Nigeria. Is that somebody that is a student of history? Is asking what Femi Falana has done for Nigeria? Femi Falana, that is who very dark man is asking that what has he done for Nigeria? I don't think he's a serious person. Some of the things he's doing, they are good, right? He has helped some people recover money. He has spoken out against some peers in the society. But the way that is going, I think he has derailed or is misguided for him to even have the audacity to make that kind of statement. Femi Falana is not God. He's not above the law. But he's not a very dark man that will come out with dark allegations, unsubstantiated dark allegations, that will be asking Nigerians, what has Femi Falana done for Nigeria? Basically saying that it's more important than Femi Falana because he's known on social media. I think it is an insult on history for someone that went to prison repeatedly under the military. He has done his bit for our country. And if you are going to come out to bastardize his name, you must have basis for it.
Okay.
For now, that basis does not exist. And I'm willing to stick by that point until there's evidence to the contrary. And I don't think there is any.
Okay. Anyway, let's take a few other reactions and then we'll come back to you and wrap up the program. Yes, good afternoon. Your name, your location. Please keep it brief.
I'll be very brief. Dr. Moses, brief again. Don't be emotional. When it comes to issues of crime, even the least they mentioned suddenly becomes an interesting case. Somebody is indicting or destroying the hard-earned name or reputation of Dr. Falana. No. But the fact that he has been mentioned, he can easily claim and he's a senior lawyer, he knows what to do. But then, it's always strange that FCC in this case, though they've not covered themselves in glory much, they are the punching bag right now. But it goes beyond the FCC. What about the correctional center or the prison and many other, parastatals around this issue? It's not yet alone now. As a matter of fact, the Minister of Interior should do much of the work here now to ensure that this will not repeat itself if ever it will happen again. Because if we think of AFC alone, they've not really done much. I think it's always a body that will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Very many prima facie cases they will throw away because of bad compilation or filing. But in this case, it goes beyond the FCC. Let the correctional centers be much involved. Let them bring their standard on them the more and tell Nigerians what actually transpired. From whatever he has said, whether it is the dark man or the other guy, Bobrisky, they are entertainers. But even from their nonsense, we can make sense from it and see Nigeria grow. Thank you. Okay,
Dr. Moses, thank you very much. Well, there is a message from Elvis, from Idimo. I think all this, he says, about Bobrisky is all distraction. In the just concluded Edo election polling booths, polling booths were converted into buying and selling centers political parties selling and buying votes. No one has been arrested, no one. However, Bobrisky's case only shows that corruption is now wearing wrapper in Nigeria. Elvis from Idimo. Dayo Adedayo says, well, good afternoon, my lawyer of the year in Nigeria. We have laws and prison for the politicians, elite, and the poor. This incident that has happened will not create controversy. If it is the common man that raised the issue, but a celebrity like Bobrisky. Also yesterday, watching AIT News, your president announced the approval of 40 houses for judges. Remember, they just increased their salaries 300%. Like they say, loyalty for this government is cash and carry. Objection now mortuary. Everybody get agenda with their mercenary enterprise. And the judiciary has been compromised, and it goes on and goes on. Dayo from Fagba. Well, you know, these are some of the interventions. I think there's also one gentleman, Adigwega Adedeji, but we don't seem to have his own reaction on the screen before me. But it looks like someone else is calling. Hello?
A very good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, my dear. My name is Prince Y.S. Are you with me?
I had Prince Y.S.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
I just want to appeal to those who are concerned. Any officer that finds culpable about this schema to be the matter to be tackled squarely. You see, when we say corruption is our problem, and those who want to fight the corruption we are talking about, they are not culpable again. They are not into the corruption, swimming in the corruption. Who is going to bear the cat now? I think those people that they under suspension now, the best thing, I want thorough investigation. After this, they will take them to court, and I want the judge who is supposed to handle the case to fast tracking the case. Within 3 months, let us know the termination of that case. We must punish those who is calling the name of Nigeria. We want to punish those who make Nigeria look as it is now. Oh, Dr. Abati, please, good afternoon to you, my dear.
Thank you very much, Prince Y.S. Well, let me come back to you, Inibe Effiong, for your concluding statements, thoughts, you know, on some of these issues that have been raised by our audience.
The correctional service in Nigeria is rotten. I'm not hiding that fact. I'm not pretending about that fact. I have my own personal experience. I have in a detailed interview with this day of about 4 pages when I came out. I explained how rotten the correctional system in Nigeria is. I don't think they are ready for that reform. I don't even think as a country we are ready for that conversation. The rot is so deep. We are talking about Bobrisky or possibly being taken out. Go and check even the food that the Nigerian government gives to inmates. It is an eyesore. Even dogs should not be fed with salt. The entire system is rotten. The truth of the matter is that we need to overhaul our criminal justice system. From investigation to prosecution to corrections. Everything is down. We need to work on our criminal justice system. And for the EFCC, I don't think they are ready to fight corruption. But at this moment, I think what we just have is just dramatization. It's a distraction. The real corruption is going on out there. Politicians are having a field day. Nobody's going after them. We are not seeing the real fight taking place. We are being distracted by Bobrisky, who is an entertainer. In fact, it looks like the government is trying to use Bobrisky to entertain Nigerians to distract us from the problems of the country. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you look at this whole case, is it possible that this whole thing is a scheme to distract Nigerians from the inflation, from the fact that fuel is now almost 1,000? But about is it possible that we are being distracted so that Nigerians will not talk about the real issue that are facing them? That dollar to naira is now almost 1,700. That Nigerians cannot buy cassava agbado again. That even the president promised us. Is Bobrisky being used to distract Nigerians? What is the utilitarian value of this? If it is about institutional decay, I don't think that this government is willing to address it. I don't even think that they are ready for that conversation. If you want to reform the EFCC, it is a serious matter because the rot is deep, including the correctional service. So I'm not somebody that will come out and begin to hold brief for any institution in Nigeria, but I know how bad these institutions are. But on a serious note, if truly this person was headed to serve his term outside the four walls of the prison, then there has to be accountability. But I'm urging Nigerians that in our fight for justice, in our fight for accountability, we must be very wary. We must be very wary of sensationalization of this manner. Address the issue the way you are supposed to address it objectively. They don't try allegations that are completely unmeritorious, that are baseless, simply because you want to generate traffic. Bobrisky has always been an entertainer. Personally, I am not a fan of his. I have never been a fan of this, but that is the life he has chosen. Today he says he's a man, tomorrow he's addressing himself as a woman. All this confusion about his identity. This is the life he has chosen. He has the right to be confused about his agenda, his gender. He has the right to say he's a man, say he's a woman. But however, in the Western world now, automatically people identify as anything. They will say that they identify as this. So Bobrisky has chosen to identify the way he wants to be identified. Some people are not happy with it. All this is a distraction. But if it is shown that the system was corrupted to favor him, let that be addressed. At the same time, those who feel that they have been defended, they have the right to seek redress. That is my concluding statement.
Well, thank you very much, Inibe Effiong. Well, except that the Nigerian laws do not allow anybody to identify as anything other than as a man or as a woman. That we're talking about the Same-Sex Prohibition Act of 2024 or the Matrimonial Causes Act, of Nigeria, which says marriage is between a man and a woman and not between any other thing. But we live in very interesting times. I would like to thank you very much, Inibe Effiong, and that's all we have for you today on City Talks with REUBEN ABATI. Let's keep the conversation going, and then you can join us on social media hereafter, and let's talk solutions and the way forward. Thank you once again, Inibe Effiong, public interest and human rights lawyer at Inibe Effiong Chambers, human rights activist, and a prominent social commentator, for sharing your thoughts with us today on today's subject.